everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. With me today, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Troy Brittingham.
As always, and you're Jeff.
I am Jeff. You are always
As
here.
always.
Do you ever go home?
I know.
I'd appreciate it if you did.
I live in your walls.
Oh, man. Speaking of in the walls, not really. Halo, episodes 3 and 4. We're going to double them up today.
Master Chief is in your walls.
I wish.
Your wall, a listener at home, he's in your walls right now.
Good heavens, I wish he was in my walls. Pablo Schreiber.
Oh, my God.
Come show me why they call you Master Chief.
Oh, God.
TB&J! Whew! Is it hot in here or is it just me?
I think I don't know how to feel about this.
TB&J!
I don't like this.
Listen, Troy, this is a safe space.
I feel pretty unsafe.
TB&J!
Some may say that I need a weapon.
Need a weapon?
I was going to do the voice.
Yeah, but you didn't.
Now you seem like a lame nerd who's a nerd. Lame-o.
You're such a
dick.
dick.
You're a dork nerd, and I'm not, and I'm cool.
You're such a dick. I hate you so much. All right, Halo episode 3 is called Emergence, and episode 4... Oh, no, it's not. Is that season 1? That is season 1. Pardon me. Visegrad is episode 3. Episode 4 is called Reach, all right? So we're going to do both of these two together. Troy, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Both of them combined?
Yeah, we're going to treat them as if they were just kind of one big
one
episode.
Extended episode.
For the sake of us here. So we skipped the last week coverage of Halo. We instead watched the captivating, amazing movie, Lisa Frankenstein, and then we also watched Madame Web. So
one of the greatest movies in all of cinema. They're saying Citizen Kane and then
they're
Madame
saying that
Web,
about Lisa
right?
Frankenstein? No way, that's so good.
No, I was saying the other one.
Oh, all right. Well, it made more money than Morbius.
Did
it? Yeah.
Ooh.
It made a lot more money than Morbius.
Ooh. So
and
second showing?
I believe it's actually pretty close to breaking even. Because it only had a budget of $80 million.
Second showing in theaters?
Anyway, so because we skipped a week, we're going to treat this as if it's one big episode of Halo. We're going to put Visegrad and Reach together, which kind of, in the grand scheme of the storytelling, makes sense.
This is the setup and then the battle.
This is the setup and then the battle, or the beginning of the battle of Reach, all right?
So to answer your question finally, am going to go thumbs up.
I am also going to go thumbs up. So, for those of you that aren't super familiar with the story of Reach, Troy, can you tell me a little bit about the story of Halo Reach, the video game? Just the video game. We're not going to talk about the books, which are obviously way deeper into detail. They're still canon, and they are wonderful pieces of information. We did not read the books, however. We're bad fans of things.
So my very basic understanding as somebody who's beaten the game like 4 times.
Yeah, that's why I kind of threw it to you. I was really hoping you knew.
Man, a lot of these games are okay. I'm gonna go to the diamond that tells me where to go, but it is the invasion of the Covenant on Reach, which is sort of a UNSC stronghold.
Did Oni know Reach? Or, I'm sorry, the Covenant were coming?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, that's all right.
But it's basically an entire suicide mission to man, couldn't tell you more. It's Halo.
I mean, that's totally fine.
My knowledge on Halo is very, very small.
So you essentially in the game you take the role of Noble 6, who is a member of Noble Team.
Yeah.
These groups of Spartans. There's 6 of them, and they are going across Reach, defending the planet from a Covenant invasion that keeps ramping up until at the very end of the game it is you and it's 6 and Cat, I think, right?
Nope, Cat dies pretty early.
Oh, it's 6 and
Cat, 6 is the last one eventually.
Yeah, 6 is the last. Emil. It's 6 and Emil, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Emil gets stabbed.
Regardless, you go through the whole game, basically losing members of your team as you go until there's like a final standoff, and you do eventually die. And it's kind of like the fall of Reach. It's this big highlighted moment where the the UNSC failed to defend Reach from the Covenant, and which is not unique to Reach, by the way. In most battles the UNSC have against the Covenant, especially planetarily, they lose most of the time. The Covenant pretty handily are winning the war at every turn. The only real victories they have are the ones where Chief is directly involved, and it's usually smaller victories. Like in Halo 1 when Chief was able to destroy the Halo installation and just killing all the Covenant on board, and he escaped in a very damaged ship and had to, I think, did he put himself in cryosleep?
I never played 1.
Oh my god, you're terrible. But Halo 1 ends with him and Cortana as like the only survivors after they destroyed the Halo installation. And that, he only got away by like the skin of his teeth. The Covenant are really, really powerful, and they are forces to be reckoned with. They have the superior firepower. They have the numbers. Their soldiers, units themselves, are just built bigger and tougher and harder. It's just really, really tough getting a victory over the Covenant. And one of the things that Halo didn't do a great job of in Season 1, in my opinion, is showing that off.
Sure.
And we really, really get that point hammered home now in Season 2. They really show you, hey, these fucking elites are no goddamn joke. They will go through ranks and ranks of Marines and not break a sweat. And the Spartans are killing them, but it's real close, man. Some of these fights are so close. And it's kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't even know the word I'm looking for. But it's really good seeing it. Not good in the sense of I enjoy watching the people die to the aliens, but like I enjoy like the accuracy to the source material in that the Covenant are big bad motherfuckers and they will stop at nothing. Yeah,
I mean one of our few episodes of Season 1 that we all kind of enjoyed was, I think 3 has a big Covenant fight, and every time this show is just Spartans versus Covenant, it's really good. And I don't want to ever come off as like I just want this show to just be a series of fight scenes between basically just video game CGI cutscenes of fights, because that would also be bad.
Yeah.
But in Season 1 and a little bit of the first 2 episodes from last week, I thought personally, it was a lot of the side stories and a lot of the in-between episodes of the fighting felt very long and had a lot of side stuff that I didn't like. These 2 episodes specifically seem like they are getting into the action, and it looks like we're going to have plenty of episodes in a row now that are going to be pretty straight action and the follow of action. And Episode 3 is pretty narrative all the way through before there's any fighting.
Yes.
And I thought that pretty much everything in Episode 3 is pretty compelling, and a lot of the side stories seem that I thought were bad seem like they're kind of pulled into the main story a little bit, where they're actually able to interact with the characters that I think are fun and cool.
All of them except for Quan, at least so far.
But they're also heading to Reach, is what I mean. Like they're heading there, so
That's
they're gonna.
Good point. That's a good point. My biggest concern with Season 2, they were hyping it up as like the fall of Reach. I was really worried that they were going to spend like 6 episodes getting up to this point, and then Reach would fall, and then we'd have like a quick wrap up. That is not the case at all. We are on the end of Episode 3 is like the beginning of the attack of Reach, and I'm like, oh shit, this is awesome. I mean, awesome in a terrible way.
Sure.
And then Episode 4 begins right where 3
terrible
leaves off.
awesome.
It's terrible awesome. And 4 begins right where 3 left off with just the bombing of Reach, and you just see dozens of civilians dying, just getting bombed, getting torched, whatever, and then the elites show up and they just start murdering people and throwing them around, and I'm like, wow, this is a lot kind of darker and more real than I kind of expected it to be.
It's still so it and this is kind of an internet feeling on it still, is I think at this point it's still not perfectly the games or the books or anything,
and it's not trying to be clear,
and it's never going to be now. Like I think they have listened to some. It's very clear that they heard the criticism of the first season.
Yep,
and that they extended out a little bit to the fans, but also sort of went, we did set stuff up, and we can't just make a new show, and we have stories that we would like to tell. If we extend one arm, can you extend an arm to us and let us tell the other stories as well? And some people are on board and some people aren't. I was saying that I was sort of 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out of the door after 1 and 2. 3 and 4 are definitely pulling me more into the door. I enjoyed these two a lot more.
Yep.
It feels much more Halo. I did see some people complaining online already that we are going through the Fall of Reach and Master Chief is in a t-shirt and not in his armor, and narratively it makes it more dramatic because now anybody can get shot and die.
It does. It also it within the confines of the world they have created and the narrative they've spun here, it makes sense.
Yeah,
because Ackerson, the head of Oni, who knew this was coming.
By the way, I said last episode of Halo that I think he's a new made up character. Apparently he's not, and according to a lot of sources I've heard, it kind of sounds like they understand this character and made him work. Like, apparently people are saying that he is a character who exists in Halo already, and this is a good representation of him.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I wish we were better fans of things, and I wish we just knew our source material a little bit better.
We're good fans of things. We just can't hit everything.
Yeah. But we're still, this is still good stuff here. But what was I talking about, buddy?
Halo.
Yeah. Oh! In the confines of the narrative they've spun, it makes sense because Ackerson was portraying John as crazy when John knew exactly what was going on. He was like, "Yeah, the Covenant's here. They killed Cobalt Team. Why are you hiding this?" And Ackerson's like, "You're crazy. You're grounded, mister, and give me your armor back." And then the Reach evacuation happened where Ackerson pulled key assets and personnel and evacuated from Reach before the Covenant could attack. And in the confines of this little story they've spun of Oni knowing and evacuating key staff and things before the attack, it would make sense that he would take the Spartan armor.
Mm-hmm.
You do not want that falling into Covenant hands. You cannot have it falling into Covenant hands. So he had to take it. Makes sense. Especially with Silver Team, including Master Chief, being grounded and not allowed to fight. It's like, well, I can't call them back now. Oh, well, still taking this armor, though. It's going on a ship. And,
right.
And your point, absolutely correct. It makes everything hit a little harder and a little bit better if it's like, oh, well, if Chief was armored up, a lore-accurate Master Chief could take on a slew of Covenant by himself, no problem. But you don't have that right now. You just have John. He's got the physical capabilities of Master Chief, but he doesn't have that armor, and that's a big fucking difference. A single bullet could end his entire trip right now, and that wasn't the case in Episode 1 when he had the armor. It adds this little bit of plausible, maybe he could die. He's not gonna, but maybe.
Right, and all of the, I don't want to say complaining because I think that out of all the things that are big internet complaining right now, I think that this is not the most absurd. But obviously people are complaining that Chief is out of his armor in general. But if you are extending them out of hand, and you don't need to, that they did Season 1, and they're trying to kind of do more of a 50-50 with Season 2 and let fans have their cake a little bit, is that basically we can't go back to a situation where everybody just pretends like he never took his helmet off. Like he is Pablo Schreiber Master Chief. Like that's just a thing in this universe now. So in the confines of this Halo universe, I think it's good. Whether or not a fan that is a much bigger Halo fan than me will be happy with that. That's not
No one's ever going to be completely happy when you adapt
Sure.
something from a long-standing source material.
right, but
It's just not possible to please everybody.
right, but this is a specific situation where the first season botched it so much that everybody going into season 2 is like it feels like they came into this one walking on eggshells a little bit, where like something that's a little bit more, I don't know what a good example is. Is everything there's somebody who has a big amount of rage behind it.
Sure,
but
yeah.
but if another big series that would have had a better sort of opening to it has a little bit more leeway to do some fun stuff, like if like The Last of Us. The Last of Us, if they try to do anything sort of their own way in any of the future seasons, there's not going to be... Well, that's actually a bad example too, but that's you get what I mean.
I do.
That's a bad example in the opposite direction.
Can I give you a little piece of information you may not know?
Okay.
So season 1, you said the fans widely regarded it as a little bit of booty butt cheeks,
Mm-hmm.
and you think season 2 is a little bit of a redemption arc.
Sure. It's currently on one. I mean, these are very good episodes, these two.
So Rotten Tomatoes here, I'm looking at the Halo page. Season 1, as a whole, has an average tomato meter rating of 70%, which is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2, as an average for the season so far, 4 episodes in out of 8,
Mm-hmm.
we're sitting at 94.
Okay.
That's pretty significant. That's a 24% jump in the alleged quality of your product. I say alleged because, tomato meter doesn't necessarily reflect quality.
Mm.
Remember, I think Beekeeper is up in the high 80s somewhere.
Yeah, we didn't cover this one, but I saw Plane last year, which is the Gerard Butler. What if a man was on a plane and there was terrorists on an island or whatever? And that movie sucks, and it had like a 94 for the longest time. And I'm like, what is wrong with everybody?
While I'm here, there's a new TV show on tonight called The Dynasty, New England Patriots.
Uh-huh.
That is sitting at 100% on the tomato
Mm-hmm.
meter. Sure it is.
What if it makes you a Patriots fan?
It will not. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby.
Who knows?
Go fuck yourself. But yeah,
That's interesting. That's interesting that you said fly, Eagles, fly.
Hashtag Ravens flock.
Usually, I was about to say, you have another team usually.
I honestly, I root for both. I really do.
I was just making sure that you
but,
weren't...
I bleed purple, but, I also live in Philadelphia.
I was just worried that you were in a deep state of depression.
All right. So the other thing that I wanted to highlight in episode 4 specifically is that as Perez and John are like trying to get back to FleetCom, because that's where John's armor is and that's where he's trying to go, they end up walking through this old antique store of like old Earth artifacts that this woman sells, and that's like her life. And Perez is trying to explain to her, like, the Covenant are here. They're gonna glass the planet. You need to get out of here. Do you understand? Like, she's almost hysterically yelling at this lady, and John has to tell her, like, stop. She understands. We need to go.
And
that broke my fucking heart, dude.
I truly thought that we were going to get a moment of just like, and look at this wacky, zany character who may join us on our adventures. Maybe she'll be collecting typewriters along the way. And then eventually she's just like, nah, I'm staying here and dying. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a little bit skeptical. I was like, what's going on here? And then it just went into this like super real, this shit definitely happened in real life. There are definitely people that survived wars or didn't survive wars, I guess, and just like accepted their fate. And they were just like, this has been my home forever. I'm not gonna leave, and if that means I die, it means I die. And it's so sad just seeing it play out. And my heart really broke for this old woman. And it was a really, in my opinion, well done piece of story that happened. And it took place in the span of 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Less than even. And they made me really feel for this lady that just showed up out of nowhere and then disappeared just like that too. And I was like, holy shit.
Well, wait until episode 8 where she comes in, guns a-blazing, saves everybody, kills all the Covenant.
Shut up.
That fire axe in hand.
Yeah, sure.
Cutting off elite heads. It's all on her.
But this episode was just all about, the Battle of Reach beginning. and we lost a couple good characters along the way. Lewis, our former Spartan blind friend that was helping Riz out, he suicided himself with a belt full of grenades to take out a Wraith, which I liked seeing a Wraith in fucking live action. That was cool, even if it was only for a couple seconds at a distance, because, it's probably hard to make that look good.
I kind of prefer that rather than having them zoom in on everything and be like, oh my god, it's a Wraith, the thing in Halo that you fought against a bunch. Maybe if Master Chief jumps on top of it and jams a grenade in the thing and then jumps off of it, like in the game. Remember the game, guys?
Yeah, the
like
fan,
I prefer this.
I appreciate less fan service and more, keeping within the scope and the tone of the show.
I mean, fan service is an interesting tightrope that you have to walk, where sometimes you get Finn in the Millennium Falcon and he pulls out the little training drone and then he throws it and you're like, oh, that's cute. And then sometimes you have 85% of Rise of Skywalker and you're like, that's bad, actually.
Yeah, that's
we don't need to go to the wreckage of the Death Star. That's we can do something else.
With this weird dagger that has a pull-out piece that just matches up perfectly.
Well, that's not fan service. That's just dumb.
That's just
that's
writing.
that's bad. That's just what a bad thing
That's
is.
just bad. Don't do that. That's
Oh,
bad.
who's the bad guy for this one? Oh, Palpatine.
Oh, he's back, huh? Okay.
How did he do that?
Somehow, Palpatine returned, man. It's just how it worked. But I do really love this. I love that they're setting up Ackerson to be like this kind of almost sympathetic villain, because you see him taking care of his elderly father who's suffering from dementia, and he tells his dad, like, I have to go away, and you can't come with me. And I think he's told his dad more than what we saw on screen, because his dad says, don't let them take me alive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that's a really weird, dark thing to tell your son on his way out the door today. But okay, sure, Dad. And I was like, oh, well, he probably knows. I mean, Ackerson's got this weight on him, which I assume it's a weight, of like, we're going to lose Reach no matter what. We have to just go. I do find it particularly odd that in his evacuation of vital assets, he did not take Cortana. He left Cortana behind in the little prisoner dungeon thing with Soren and Halsey. He just completely left her behind. That doesn't seem completely, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but that doesn't seem right, does it?
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that other than
they just needed McKee to get her.
Yeah, that or if there's if there's some sort of conversation of either he doesn't, I mean, he can't not see the value in it, but I don't know.
Exactly. And he used Cortana to run simulations on what's going to happen on Reach.
Right.
And
you don't want him to you don't want to turn him into a dumb character all of a sudden, because right now he kind of rocks.
Yeah. Right now, Ackerson's pretty fucking dope. I love him as the head of Oni, and I love him just kicking ass and being kind of a sympathetic bad guy. And he's also, I mentioned this in our last episode, but it's still like, I love it so much every time I see it, where he is a villain to our protagonists, who are, for all intents and purposes, superhuman, and they tower over this man, and he doesn't flinch. I don't think his heart rate even jumps. He's just cool as a cucumber, just like, what the fuck you gonna do, bitch?
It's very. I've been rewatching Justice League Unlimited to see if it's actually a good show, and have
spoiler alert, it is.
I have not been disappointed. I think that show.
Yeah, I was gonna say spoiler alert.
That show
very much
fucking
is.
slaps
Hard,
but
man.
it's very Amanda Waller in that show. I think is one of the perfect Amanda Wallers. And there's a whole lot of times with the entire Justice League where she has a lot of confrontations with Batman face to face, and she's just like, fucking try me, dude.
Yeah.
And she's just like a woman. she's just like a random
person.
She's just like a random human woman.
It's like fucking Giancarlo Esposito staring down Homelander.
Yeah.
I can't remember the character's name, but Giancarlo Esposito is the actor.
It is. I do know this.
I need the Jeopardy music as a button so I can hit that.
We'll
Do 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 do.
It's Gus. It's Gus. His name is Gus.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's Moff Gideon.
Ah, gotcha. Are you trying to Google it on your phone right now?
I'm about to.
Ah, okay.
You go.
Yeah, sure. Where do you think Kai is? Kai surprisingly missing from this.
Well, she talks to Ackerson.
She does, and she says, please put me back into some sort of fight. I can't be grounded. I have to do something. Like, she's going to go stir crazy, and she was built to be a soldier. She's like, please let me fight. I need to go fight. And then after things start going down, Chief's running back to FleetCom, and he does reunite with Varric and Riz. They're both there. They're both kicking ass. Lewis and Lewis's boyfriend Doctor are there too, which he was my favorite character, and he died a miserable, gruesome death. Poor guy. Anyway. Moving on.
Anyway.
Well, it's the Jeremy Clarkson meme. Oh no! Anyway. But it was just, it was miserable. And then we had fucking Admiral Keyes dying.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was in the most badass way possible. I fucking loved it. It was awesome. But you couldn't take off because the fuel lines were connected. I guess that's a safety feature. But then you disconnect them and the gas is still free flowing. And that's why the whole platform blows up when she punches the engines. So there's a safety measure in place, but not more than one? You know?
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
It's a little weird.
Sure.
That one struck me a little weird, but in the confines of this little scene they were trying to build up, it worked. And he pulls out his pipe and just asks if anybody has a light, and it's wonderful. I did also enjoy seeing Halsey really cry about it and feel for Keyes when he died, because I was like, oh yeah, maybe the bitch does have a heart somewhere. Maybe it is deep in there somewhere.
Stan Edgar is his character from The Boys.
I figured that out a few minutes ago. I just wanted to see if you would keep going.
I kind of stopped looking it up at some point because I wanted to engage with the conversation, and then I looked back.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
I looked back when you started to bore me. Anyway.
I also like after the Covenant attack and John regroups and Keyes is there because he told Ackerson, fuck you, I'm going to defend Reach.
Mm-hmm.
John shows up and Keyes is like, please spare me the I told you so. And John's just like, yep, sure. I'll spare the I told you so. What do you need? I'm here. I'm a big old guy here to kill some Covenant. And then he just tells him, like, yeah, we're going to do the Battle of Thermopylae. We're just going to try to funnel them and do what we can to not die, but we're all going to die. And that's going to be it.
Historically, Spartans in Thermopylae funneling in more enemies than them usually succeed.
No.
Huh?
No.
What?
Did we watch the same movie?
What?
Did
What do
we
you mean? What do you
read
mean?
the same actual history book?
What are you talking about?
The Spartans lost that fight, man.
Oh my god.
The Persians won.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember that part.
But they were the.
Yeah, the reason people remember underdog stories like that is because they say, "Look how brave they were before they died."
But they were cool shirtless dudes.
So were the other side.
Huh?
Yeah.
No, but they were not cool shirtless dudes. They were bad shirtless dudes.
Bad shirtless dudes. Got it. Okay, cool. But yeah, it's so I am curious to see how that plays out, because now that you've begun the Battle of Reach, I don't know how you do it without dragging it out now, because you've got half the season to go.
Also, how do you think they end the Battle of Reach? Because it's not...
They end it the way that Keyes wanted to end it, with the funneling and the Thermopylae thing.
Well, sure. But I'm saying the end of Reach the game is Noble Six dying on Reach.
Sure.
And Noble Six in this is kind of Chief. And Chief probably won't die.
Yeah. Definitely probably not.
Yeah.
But
unless every season of the show is him dying at the end of every battle and then a new season starts.
I guess it's going to depend on what happens. My best guess for what happens at the end of this show, or the end of this season, I should say, is that Chief ends up being a prisoner of the Covenants. Maybe McKee takes him hostage, and they go to Halo. She brings him there. I don't know. Like that's my best guess right
Mhm.
now. I don't see any other way of Chief getting off this planet alive. I kind of don't see that any other way right now, unless somehow like Oni has a change of heart, or Ackerson like drops them their armor and is like, "Here you go, guys. Sorry." I don't know how else it really happens. It's certainly not going to play out the way it did in the game, because in the game, if you beat it on Legendary, you do see after Noble Six sacrifices themselves to stop the Covenant, or at least delay the Covenant, you get a glimpse of Chief and Cortana on the Pillar of Autumn escaping from Reach, and then that's pretty much where Halo 1 picks up, is the Covenant chasing the Pillar of Autumn. That's definitely not going to happen here. Basically, Chief's entire career in the Halo games is like cryosleep, and then he wakes up because shit hit the fan. He fixes it, and then he goes back into cryosleep. And that's kind of Chief's whole thing in all of the games, as far as I know. I haven't played, I haven't really played or seen much of 5 or Infinite yet.
Mhm.
Infinite would count as Halo 6 if you're counting. But
Can't.
But that's pretty much how Master Chief just kind of operates. Is it just I fix things, then he goes back into a sort of cryostasis or a hibernation period between games. And that's certainly not what's going to happen here. Or maybe it will. Maybe Chief does end up in a cryo chamber, and Oni.
I mean,
takes him.
they sort of, is at the end of Halo 3, he sort of has a ship of his own that sort of is off drifting into space, kind of fucked up.
Yeah. And then he puts himself into cryosleep to preserve oxygen and food because he would die otherwise. And then you get the kind of it kind of implies that Chief is MIA at the end of Halo 3 or killed in action. So another big point of the games and the books as well is that Spartans, for morale's sake, are never killed in action and they never die. They're simply missing in action or MIA. And when we see the bodies of Cobalt Team at the end of Episode 3 there, Admiral Keyes is like, what do we do? And Ackerson says, nothing. They're MIA. They are missing in action. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. So you're still keeping with that. You're not just going to like... And obviously that's what they're going to do because Cobalt Team is part of this whole weird, super secretive mission that fucking Ackerson's running. But yeah, you're never going to tell the world that your super killing machines are killed in action. They're just missing. And you'll find them again, maybe. Or, maybe not.
Or you won't.
Yeah, who knows? But I did love that little touch there as well. I have really high hopes for the rest of this show. So far, it's been really above my expectations, and I've really appreciated the ride that I'm going on. There were several times where a character said a thing or did a thing throughout these shows or these episodes, and I was like clapping or straight up cheering. And then when Keyes gives his like really emotional speech halfway through Episode 4 about how like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, you're gonna die before the day's over, but we're gonna do our best to hold them back so that the civilians can get off world. I got a little emotional, and maybe that's just because I'm an emotional little bitch. But like I
don't have feelings. I'm cool. I'm a cool guy. I'm wearing sunglasses during this episode.
Indoors?
It's indoors at like 8:30 at night.
It's 9.
There you go. Even cooler.
9 o'clock is way cooler than 8:30.
The later it gets, the cooler it gets, and then at 12:01 it becomes less cool again.
I mean, you're not entirely wrong. When the sun is away, like down, it does get cooler.
When the sun is awake?
The sun is down. I was gonna say away.
Because when the sun sleeps, the moon wakes up.
Is that not how it works?
I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it works.
I seem to remember a couple kids
scientists
shows when I was younger that were like the sun would go down and it would go to bed and then the moon would be like, oh.
And that's
like
scientifically accurate.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Ask Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Is the moon also made of cheese, like I've been told?
What else would be made of?
Oh, what a silly question.
Yeah, fucking idiot.
I apologize.
Come on.
Did you ever watch Wallace and Gromit as a child?
I did not.
Oh, God. Wallace and Gromit was one of my favorite things growing up. It's these like short films.
I know what they are.
The first one, they go to the moon because the moon's made of cheese,
Mhm.
and Wallace loves cheese. And then there's like a homicidal robot on the moon that like tries to kill
that
him.
kills them and wears his skin.
No,
That's how that one ends.
It actually fashions a pair of skis out of a piece of their rocket ship, and he spends the rest of his days skiing across the mountains of cheese.
That's much less violent than my solution.
So that's the end of this episode, I believe, unless you have anything to add, Troy.
No, not really. I think that the big highlight of 2 versus 1 so far is it seems to be pretty organically trying to cut all the bullshit storylines, but while still maintaining those characters. And I think that the thing that we agree on is the characters that they introduced that were just Halo show characters in 1 were kind of the worst part of it. And in this, they have new characters and those old characters in it. And the old characters that were made for the show are getting better. I think that Soren is officially in the better camp.
Yep.
And I think Soren was the one that was off to the best start in Season 1 anyway. And Season 2 has introduced a bunch of new characters. Ackerson's not a new character, and I don't know if Perez is. But all the characters that are added in here, I think, are way better than that.
Yeah.
I care about a pretty good amount of characters at this point. I actually was pretty sad to see Vanek die at the end. I think that it is.
Perez is a new character to the Halo show.
Character. Gotcha.
According to Halopedia.
I mean, Perez also kind of rocks.
Yeah, fucking love Perez. She's awesome. And I love that Chief has like a friend that he can actually open up to.
And with Keyes dead before Combat Evolved, she's kind of probably going to be the Keyes there, I imagine.
My guess was that it would be Miranda Keyes.
Is she still in?
She's
she
alive.
hasn't shown up in a while.
No, so
she hasn't shown up at all.
In the elevator where Soren and Keyes and Halsey were going up to the upper platform, Halsey said, "Is Miranda here?" And he says, "No." And she says, "Well, where is she?" And he says, "I can't tell you." So she's clearly off-world doing something.
Sure.
Or she's like, maybe she was one of the key personnel that Ackerson evacuated as well. But she's clearly alive. She's elsewhere. My guess is, if I had to make one at this point, if we're not getting Chief stolen by the Covenant to go to Halo, it's going to be Miranda coming back in the Pillar of Autumn.
Okay.
To save Chief and the rest of Silver Team.
Okay. Do you think...
I've got a couple guesses on how the rest of this will play out, but we've got 3 episodes left in the Battle of Halo before the finale. And I'm very curious to see where it all goes, because the titles don't tell me much.
Do you think, and we did have a whole conversation about fan service and when it's good and when it's bad.
What's your kill death, bro?
Yeah, that's not great. But I think that it wouldn't overextend too much. I think that we should sort of get a not recreation, but sort of an interpretation of the end of the game Reach. Do you think that they would stick like a Kai there or something?
Oh, without a doubt. We're definitely losing.
It won't be Chief.
No, it's not going to be Chief, but it's definitely going to be either Kai or Riz. If I had to put money on it now, I would say Riz. But we're going to get a first-person perspective, I think, of a death scene.
Okay.
Like when you get like the cracked helmet and then like Noble Six falls over.
I mean, you can't do cracked helmet without a helmet, though.
Yeah, I know. But I think we're going to get some sort of death scene. I don't know if they're going to go first person entirely.
No, I don't think they would either. I think it's going to be...
It would be a weird direction for a show that hasn't done that yet.
They did a little bit in the first season.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? They did. From Chief's perspective when he was killing people. But it would be interesting to see regardless. So... Before I give a letter grade, I want to touch on the names of the last couple episodes, so skip ahead a few seconds if you don't want to hear them. But the next episode we have, Troy, is called Illyria. No idea. Episode 6 is called Onyx. 7 is...
The Pokemon.
Yes. 7 is Thermopylae, so I imagine that is our Fall of Reach episode.
Sure.
And then 8 is Halo. So that's going to be our on the Halo episode. And it's going to end with, like, the beginning of Combat Evolved.
Mm.
And I imagine Season 3 would be just Combat Evolved and then intro to Flood. And then we'll have Flood in the next season, which hopefully can take the place of fucking McKee. I'm sick of seeing her.
I'm gonna have to see. I'm gonna see after the next 2 episodes what my opinion is.
I like that the Covenant have a leader.
Sure.
I like her. If I only saw season 2,
Uh-huh.
she'd be cool and mysterious.
Uh-huh.
But because I saw season 1, I'm sick of seeing her.
They've done legwork on other characters. I think she's in sort of the roughest spot.
Yes.
And she hasn't really had a whole lot of moments to actually prove that this character can be cool yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that after 5 or 6, we're gonna get a real good insight into whether or not this character is here to stay through the entire show or not. I think if she's not dead by the end of this season, I think that she is the main, like, bad guy for until the show ends.
Yeah, I'm hoping, man. I'm really hoping that, like, something kind of changes here. But you know, we will, I guess, see what happens. I don't know, man. I'm just so sick of seeing her. You know what I mean?
I mean, so far, like I said, and I'm still holding out hope that they could maybe do something with her, because, like, they didn't even they had some cool Quan Ha scenes, which I didn't think was possible.
They were pretty good Quan Ha scenes, dude.
Once again, and sometimes people have been starting to think that this is like a cop-out thing on other channels I've noticed, and I really don't think it is for most people. But this is another situation of it is not the actor's fault. It is sometimes just the writing. And I think that everybody in this show so far is doing their job. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who's not doing their job. Some people are really doing their job.
Yeah.
Like I said, I still think Ackerson might be the best part of the show right now.
He's a really, really good villain. I really, really like him. He's a good villain.
He's to the point where I may look up what this actor is in otherwise and start.
I know one thing he's in, and that's Vampire Diaries.
Okay.
As far as other things, I can tell you in just a second.
I mean, I'm sure he's in a lot. I just don't know his face.
Can you vamp for me?
No, I can't. Vamp like the Vampire Diaries?
Yep. His name is Joseph Morgan. He is known for the Vampire Diaries and its spin-off The Originals,
Sure,
in which he is the lead. He portrayed Elliot in the Peacock series Brave New World, Brother Blood in the HBO series Titans.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Brother Blood from Teen Titans, I know. And then you said Titans, I went, oh, okay.
He hasn't really been in a lot of stuff you would know, honestly.
Sure.
It's really just like Vampire Diaries is like his big claim to fame, which is weird because, like, he's a fucking great actor. Like, I really love him.
I hope that this show doesn't kind of maintain its reputation too much of being sort of like this stale video game adaptation, especially if season 2 sticks this landing that it's kind of heading towards.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that he doesn't kind of get, like, looked past because he's one of the guys in the Halo show, and somebody looks at this seriously and goes, oh, this guy's really fucking doing stuff in this.
Yeah.
Like, he's face acting pretty crazily. When he is talking to Halsey in the weird Matrix room, that I'm kind of glad we're out of, because that was one of the points of the show that I was not crazy about, was the weird Matrix room.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
But he has this smile that he gives to Halsey when they're sort of talking back and forth, because it reveals that his sister was in the Spartan program and didn't.
She didn't survive the augmentation process.
And then we figure out that the clones that he keeps sending in that keep dying is his clones of his sister, and she's reliving her dying on her over and over again.
Oh.
Yeah. And
that just got a little more fucked up.
Mm-hmm. And
Oh.
Yeah.
I could have gone the rest of my life without that knowledge.
Mm-hmm. But they're kind of having this back and forth, and they're sort of like being sincere with each other, but also like kind of trying to get in jabs with each other.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
It starts off of them just being like, I'm going to make you feel real bad about this thing. And then the more they talk about it, they're starting to like, okay, but like, this is sort of a traumatic experience for the both of us that we both sort of share and have been doing this thing. And he gives her this smile that like starts off like he's like, fuck you, but also kind of turns into like a genuine, like, he is kind of happy to hear about like some of his stuff with his sister. Yep. And then also, but it's also horrible. And then also he kind of turns it into like a curled, like evil laugh again, like an evil smile again. And I'm kind of like, Jesus Christ, this guy's doing a lot of stuff with his face. And I don't know if I'm reading into it too much, but I don't think I am.
Excuse me. He's a really good actor. I'll give him that. All right, that brings us to the letter grade at the mid-season point. Troy, how has Halo Season 2, Episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4 held up, in your opinion, as a letter grade?
Man.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go first.
Because I already know mine.
Sure.
It is a B.
Okay.
This really gave me hope for this season, and it really raised my expectations. One of my favorite things in this show so far is that once the Fall of Reach begins, a lot of the scenes, a lot of the music, a lot of the dialogue really instills this kind of background hopelessness in me as I'm watching this, because I know how this is supposed to end, and there are no survivors. It's a terrible, terrible thing, and we're watching it unfold in real time while these people are doing their best to stop it. It's like when I was watching like fucking I don't know, Saving Private Ryan or something, where it's like, you know that, and not Saving Private Ryan, that's a really bad example.
Yeah, they get him in the end. I don't know if you know this.
Shut up. But it's something where it's like, you know the ending and you know that it's bad and the people die.
Sure.
But you're still watching them progress anyway. It's what I wanted to feel watching Rogue One and didn't, because they didn't do it well enough. Fuck you, Rogue One.
I'm not going into the Rogue One discourse again. I'm not going in that place.
It's a B. What's your grade?
I like Rogue One. I'm gonna go B-. Sort of jumping off the point that I think that you are probably slightly more positive than me. But I
also have a soft spot for the Source.
Sure, and I am, like I said, I'm very, very light on Halo in general. I think that episode 1 and 2 have moments that seem a little flat and a little like season 1, basically, but not entirely. And they're all stepping stones into this 3rd and 4th episode.
Yep.
I'm still cautiously optimistic, but much less cautious. I'm letting down my walls a little bit after these two, because 4 is a really good episode. Actually,
you're ready to get hurt again.
I think 3 is actually a better episode than 4, kinda.
It might be.
I think 3 is actually a really good episode. And like 4 is obviously the cooler episode, but I think 3 might be a better episode. And I think that if they somehow turn around where I'm like, oh, McKee is cool, or McKee is dead, I think those are the two ways that I'm kind of like, I might be into this.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's not without its flaws, but it's certainly a lot better than what it was.
There's some TV streaming CGI moments for sure, but those are things that I can look past. It's not a huge deal for me.
And they're things I don't notice too much at first, but if I'm really looking for them or I rewatch a scene, I'll pick it up.
There's some... We had a fight scene that you rewinded because you saw instantly that it didn't look good.
I was like, that looks a little wonky, but it was also like so quick that if I wasn't paying really close attention or looking right at that
If you
spot,
weren't doing a podcast for it later and you were trying to find every detail so you could talk about it on a podcast.
I've always had this problem where, like, even when I go watch magic shows, because I do that because I'm a loser.
Yeah, not like me who
I
has
always-
sunglasses on indoors at 9:30 at night.
I always have the problem of, like, looking in the magician's left hand where he doesn't want you to look, because I'm always like, how is he doing it? So, spoiler alert for any magician ever, if he's clearly drawing your attention to one hand or one thing he's doing, look at the other hand or the thing he's clearly not drawing attention to. That's how the trick is done. Boom. There you go. That's like 80% of magic. You're welcome. The other 20% is like actual gimmicks that look like it's real magic.
What percent is actual magic?
0.
Huh?
0. There is no magic. No one can read minds. There is no talking to the dead.
But what about...
Sorry to burst your bubble. And that's it. That's how we're going to end the podcast on There Is No Such Thing as Magic.
breaking dreams and hopes and...
Stay tuned because we've got a couple movies coming up. We've got the rest of Halo coming up. We've got
Madam Web again.
We've been talking about maybe doing the Avatar series on Netflix.
It's Madam Web every week from now on. Now until the end of time.
Insider information, little insider trading here. D's coming back soon, everybody. So in case you missed,
and we're making him watch Madam Web.
In case you missed his pompous know-it-all ass, he'll be back soon. That's it. That's the show, everyone. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends and retweet. Is that still the verbiage? Is it repost now?
Re-X.
Re-X.
I don't.
This show. I abandoned our Twitter account. I can't bring myself to log on to Twitter anymore.
I've never logged on to Twitter, so I'm good.
And I gave you the account login, and you were like, nah, I'm good.
Uh-huh.
Never going to use that. And I was like, you know what, Troy? Fair enough.
I'm taking off these sunglasses. It's really dark in here.